Hello, everybody. Good evening. Bonjour, bonsoir. It depends where you guys are watching us from. So we greet you from Umojaglobalnetwork. I hope you're doing well, you and your family. And today it's day 6. I'm so excited again today to be here with our special guest, Dr. Lovella, and my co-host, Coach Tina. Always so definitely excited for tonight. And as we embark in this journey, day 6, it's been good. It's been good. We've been learning a lot. Dr. Lovella, she's been dropping some good nuggets that's stretching us and really make us think. So definitely, Coach Tina, can you give us some recap about yesterday and what we talked about, some takeaways, so we can be able to share with our viewers?
Okay. If we talked about reset,
Okay.
so how to how we have to reset, go through something, and then we reassess,
Mm-hmm.
reset again. How we
Mm-hmm.
have to navigate through that journey of resetting. So we gotta go to what we start, what we think about doing, and then we have find ourselves having to go to reset to something different. And Dr. Lovella talked us through some of those things, how our life journey takes us through those things, and how we have to reset.
Okay. Wonderful, yes. And another word that I remember yesterday, to which it was not new, but it was really something that really speak to what you just said. It was focus and refocus. So I was like, yeah, that's something that really was it was really at the right time that she was sharing with us. I said that's something that we have to keep doing, because you focus on something and then you have to refocus again,
Mm-hmm.
so you can be able to see the result that you're seeking of. So wonderful. Thank you for the nuggets again. Everybody, I hope you're sharing this live, because we want everybody to really join us, because this is a movement that we want you guys to really be part of, and we want to celebrate you. So join us, share this live so many people can be able to join us. Bonjour tout le monde, c'est Coach Jeanine avec Dr. Lovella et Coach Tina. Nous sommes vraiment dans la joie encore ce soir d'être là. Aujourd'hui, c'est le 6e jour que nous sommes là encore avec le topic de Confession of a Black Woman, la femme noire, la confession d'une femme noire. Donc, nous sommes vraiment dans la joie aujourd'hui encore. Et ce soir, nous allons encore, on a un autre topic qui est vraiment très intéressant, et Dr. Lovella nous va parler de ça. Et nous voulons que vous puissiez vraiment se joindre à nous ce soir, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de choses à faire. OK? Merci beaucoup en tout cas. Take it away, Dr. Lovella.
Thank you so much for that. And for those that are joining us on tonight, thank you for being here. And again, tell a friend, share the link, and tell them to join us. And again, for those that will be watching the replay, type hashtag replay. And thank you so much for that, Dr. Jeanine, when you said about celebrating, because too often we learn to celebrate others, and it's time to celebrate ourselves. And how do we do that? And so tonight is going to be an exciting topic. It's a very touchy topic. The topic is called Healing Wounds, Confronting Trauma and Pain. Healing wounds, confronting trauma and pain. What does it look like? I know we talk about it, trauma here loosely, but what does that look like? And then not only do you identify yet your healing wounds, but then you have to confront trauma and pain. And why was the Confessions of a Black Woman written? It is a powerful testament to the resilience and strength and the beauty of Black women. This book offers intimate and unfiltered insights into your multifaceted experience, encouraging women like yourself to reclaim your narrative, reclaim your power, and also to celebrate yet your heritage, and celebrate yet your lineage. So you'll find in each chapter will highlight the importance of your authenticity. It will also highlight your resilience, your diversity. It also provides solace and inspiration when you're going through your moments of empowerment, or your stages or phases of empowerment. And so, again, we're talking about healing wounds, confronting trauma,
Mm.
confronting yet trauma and pain. And so with this, we're going to touch a little bit on chapter 5. We're excited as we go through the stages and phase or daily in these segments. We're tapping into a chapter. We're diving into it. And we're not giving all of it. It's for you to read and literally dive in for yourself. What we're doing is just actually summarizing and giving you a piece or a taste of what the chapter entails. So the summary of chapter 5, it deals with exploring yet your courageous journey of confronting your trauma and pain. And when we say in confronting, it sounds so loosely. Confront, yes, confront. We identify it. Now it's time to confront it. Confront the trauma and confront the pain. And in doing so, you will be able to facilitate your healing and your growth. You will be able to single-handedly facilitate yet your healing and your growth. What does that mean? In confronting yet your trauma and your pain, it's one thing to identify it. Sometimes we don't know how to identify it. We just know that we're agonizing and we're going through the agony of pain, and we're going through the pain is piercing, and or we keep the memory, what is triggered, keep causing us to revisit that pain. We might not know how to identify it, and it keeps showing up in our present day. It keeps showing up in our seasons. It keeps showing up in cycles or in our present or in moments in time, just by mere trigger or just by the triggering of a memory. And so if you're able to identify what it is, and then now to identify the pain and then get to the root of the pain, then you'll be able to confront the pain. And so trauma stemming from childhood or your adulthood experience, trauma stemming from childhood, rooted in your childhood, shows up. It displays. It has a voice. It has a space. It lives. It occupies your mind. It occupies your body. It takes place and space in your heart. It shows up loudly. It also gives you an ego. It gives a persona, if you will. So it shows up in your adult experiences. It impacts your emotional and mental health. And also it affects your physical well-being. I'm going to say it again. Trauma shows up in your adult experiences. It impacts your emotional, mental well-being and your physical well-being. So once you acknowledge it, and now when not only do you acknowledge it, you validate, you validate yet your pain, okay? You validate yet your pain, then you will be able to understand the root and then seek support as you're going through these crucial moments of healing. So through introspection, this is today what we've been doing, or what we are doing for 21 days is called an introspection, where now what we're doing is intercepting or disrupting, if you will, your timelines, your moment in time, your space, to help you navigate through your moments or your journey of healing by causing you to recognize. And not only do you recognize, you acknowledge. Not only do you acknowledge, now you confront. You confront, and now you're facilitating through your healing road. So this is a time or a moment of introspection, a time of disruption, if you will, of some cycles. And what we're doing is we're politely, but yes, gracefully intercepting your looping cycles that is bringing or repeated trauma, or bringing the narrative of trauma. So it's causing you to now dig in deeply. And so for some are in therapy and some might not be in therapy, but you can administer therapy to yourself by self-care practices, by self-care practices. So we embark on transformative paths. This is a transformative path right here. As you go through daily, the light bulb will go on, the aha moment will go on. You'll dig deep. You'll bring forth awareness. You'll make peace with yourself, reconcile with yourself, bringing about change. Okay, present day truth, bringing about change. And now, as you are now standing flat-footed on the path or journey to self-reclaiming, or you're reclaiming self and the power within, and you're on the journey to self-healing, you will find that you will embrace the totality of who you are. Wholeness, wholeness, wholeness. Dr. Jeanine and Coach Tina, do you want to interject here before we go further?
Coach Tina, go for it.
No. I can ask you a question. How do you think that experiences resonate with everyday struggles we face as Black women?
Good question. How do, say that again?
How do you think our experiences resonate with everyday struggles we face as Black women?
Hmm. So our experience resonate deeply with our everyday struggles as we face, or what we face as a Black woman. Not, we think surface, but our experience resonate with us deeply as we face challenges, obstacles as Black women. And because they highlight the persuasive nature, the nature of trauma, which means what we're dealing with by way of obstacles and or challenges, it highlights the nature and character of you, of how you, the Black woman, will now deal with that situation. And based on how you deal, or what your problem solving technique is, now what
Mhm.
you'll be able to do is show or display, prove to yourself how you'll be able to gracefully, in some situations you can't handle it gracefully, but what you'll do to be able to maneuver in that situation. So we often deal with similar issues like discrimination, and
Mm-hmm.
societal pressures to impact our mental and emotional well-being. And again, so how do we handle it? We could either deal with it face on, or confront it, or we went to up, our back is up against the wall, and there we go swinging. We sing it in the
Mm-hmm.
swing and then ask questions after.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
swing and then ask questions after. But again, it's only until you are pressurized, because you're talking about the experience of one what resonate. So some people do not deal with the experience because they bypass it, and so they neglect it, they bypass it, they dismiss it. No, this is how they say it. I don't want to deal with that right now. So
Mm-hmm.
how are
Yeah.
you dealing with the situation if you don't want to deal with it right now? So it's going to keep coming until you pass the test. And so what it does is it's pressurize you, and based on how you handle it, it gives or speaks loudly at your
Mhm.
problem solving skill set. So each
Mm-hmm.
shared experience let us know, or those among us know, how important it is for us to handle things gracefully based on our experience. Because we could be emotionally triggered, and then we defend ourselves because our ego is hurt, and so we're gonna let
Mm-hmm.
them have it because our
Yeah.
ego is hurt. But wisdom and knowledge speaks due to maturity. We
Mhm.
pick and choose our battles. And
Mm-hmm.
we say this, I'm not going to touch that right now. I'm going to let it go, because at that point you realize and recognize not only the years that you have invested in your skill set, your education, your accolade, you have a family attached. You don't want you have things that you're providing for, things that you're putting in place. So you start thinking about everything that's connected to you, and you also start thinking about your investment, and you think about what you have to lose or what you could stand to lose. Some people don't think like that because they're not dealing with the everyday, or coming to pressurize them based on the experience. They cap out on it. And so they respond emotionally, because at that point they don't have nothing
Mm-hmm.
to lose, because ego speaks louder than the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the voice. You versus yourself at the end of the day. I hope I answered your question.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Coach
Um,
Jeanine.
my other question to you, Dr. Lovella, can you talk to us more about when we don't deal with our trauma and we don't deal with our, like it rise up to the surface, but we just keep, putting under the rug and say, I can't deal with that right now. Can you talk to us about what is the consequence not dealing with that right away? Because I've seen and I've heard people saying that actually in our community, when we don't deal with that, it kind of manifests in, people are getting sick, disease or different things. So can you talk to us how important it is when you don't deal with it? Like what happened, when you don't deal with it right away?
Okay,
And
good question.
you,
So give,
yeah.
so when we say trauma, there's so much trauma. There's so, so give an example of trauma. Give an example of what you of trauma. because there's so many. There's verbal abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's sexual abuse. There's so many levels of when it comes to trauma. So give an example of what you could be dealing with from the career, in leadership, whatever. Give an example of for based on the question you're asking. Question, do you have an example?
No, no, yeah, because sometimes, especially in a family setting, especially in our Black community, we usually, well, we don't go to a therapist most of the time. Like, we just deal with things and just keep dealing with things in our own. Like, we can figure things out in our own, or we give it to Jesus, or we give to God. Yes, but we also have a part to play. But can you talk to us about how really critical it is to deal with that? Because if we don't deal with that, what are some of the consequences physically, emotionally, you know, all of that? Can you talk to us about that?
Good question. So when it comes to that, do we really deal with it, or do we suppress it?
Yeah.
Do we really deal with it, or do we suppress it? We hide it,
Mm,
we silence it, we shut it down, and then we ask those connected to us, around us, to not
mhm,
speak on it, which means don't talk about it, shut it down. At that moment, what we're doing, we're training and programming those that's connected to us, and we're programming them to silence the pain, silence the act, silence
mm,
the
Mm,
what was done, was something
mhm,
to you. And then, like you
mhm,
said, how do we deal with it? We're trained, programmed to go past it, to build up
yes.
a mechanism to suppress pain, and they're training us throughout time to numb the pain. And
mhm,
so here it is now, from childhood now into adulthood, we are so prone to pain that now we're
Mm,
dealing with verbal abuse, and it's like, and someone will ask you, why she talking to you like that, and you like, what? We're so prone to pain that we don't
mhm,
recognize verbal abuse. We don't recognize this abuse because, again, we have suppressed yet
mhm,
abuse. So it'll show up loudly in your adult life. It'll show up loudly when there is relationships, and it even speaks loudly when there is intimate relationship, because at that point is into you, and he's into, her, and then he's able to see the nakedness of her vulnerability, and vice versa. You see what I'm saying?
mm,
So it'll show up, and this is how it'll show up. Turn the lights off. I don't want you to see my face. I don't want you to see me clothing, covering self because of feeling ashamed or self-loathing, and it covers. So they do too much. We said, why are they doing so much? The generation said, oh, they're so weird. Or someone said they're so animated. They
mhm,
don't realize that they're
mhm,
extra
mm,
because they've been trying this. They've been doing it since their youth, doing extra, doing overly too much to cover,
mhm,
mask the pain, so no one don't see it. Now, will they see it as trauma? No, they will see it as, when you get older, due to wisdom, they will call it trauma. But at that time, they're looking at it as a pain inflicted, and now I'm hurt, and now I'm wounded, and this has happened to me. And at that point, it's like, where was someone? No one saved me. No one was there to help me. This. So they're going through all of these narratives, all of these thought processing in regards to that. Again, so they were taught to suppress the pain. They were programmed to hide the pain, suppress the pain. No one talk about it. So they silence the pain. And so now everything now, and not only that, they're tucking away a memory.
mm,
They're
mhm,
deeply tucking away a memory. And no one talk about it. But life will come and trigger, hit it, puncture that wound. What happens when you have a wound and it's trying to heal and you scratch it? What happens? It punctures, and it hurts even more than when you first got hurt, because there are layers of skin that's above on that wound trying to heal it, and you just punctured it. So that's what happened to wounds, via hurt, via the pain. So, like you said, we were trained to program it to. When I said, don't talk about it,
mhm,
don't let so and so know about it. Yeah,
yes.
pride steps in. I don't want them to talk about this thing that we going crazy. This is pride steps in. They go the mask. So again, from childhood, we were taught. without our permission, they were already putting layers of mask on us and
Mm-hmm.
giving us the narrative and taking away our present day truth. Because for an exchange, don't say this just so you could hide what really happened. Don't say this. So they're programming you and putting the mask, the layers of mask, masquerading. Don't do that. Don't say nothing. Be quiet. Shut up. Walk. Don't say nothing. Keep walking. Keep going. It's existing. So again, the root of it happened in our childhood, and it shows up. And so it affects us in our marriages, it affects us in our job, it affects us in our career. It shows up and speaks like, so the more you plateau, the more you go high. So that's what I was saying. The more you go to school, take down the accolades, you do all of these, preparing yourself and investing in yourself, but not investing in your healing and self-development. It'll show up when you're at your highest peak. You'll go through those doors. Your gift and skill set will take you through those doors, but you're not going to be able to sustain it because of emotional pressure, systematic pressure. Can you handle discrimination pressure? All of these pressure that's coming out. Who will speak? Will the adult speak or will the child speak?
Mm-hmm.
Trauma.
Wow.
So we have to be able to deal with these pains or what comes to, and not only deal with it, confront it.
Mm-hmm.
Confront it. Good
Yes,
question. Mhm.
absolutely. Hello, Dr. Tammy. Hello, Coach Danielle. Everybody,
Hello.
thank you for sharing. And please share this live so we can have more people joining us. Yeah. Keep going, Dr. Lovella.
Okay. So again, our topic for those that are joining us on today, we're in chapter 5 of the Confessions of a Black Woman, and today's topic is healing wounds, confronting trauma and pain, confronting trauma and pain. So as we dive into the various wounds, as we dive into the various wounds, and let me just go back just a little. Um, in this journey of self-healing, not only will you be able to identify, recognize, and then now remember when we go to the steps, which we did earlier, we will always go to the step of self-reflection, self-compassion. Remember, we're going through the steps. This particular journey, as you're confronting trauma and pain, you have to take up, you are now the one being responsible for facilitating your healing and your growth. You're the one taking the responsibility, okay, for facilitating. Because at this point, is you know what we do? We surrender our power and say, "Help me." Well, you tell me what to do. Then this is
Mm-hmm.
your life. You're going to facilitate your next move from point A to point B. You're going to facilitate your healing and you're going to facilitate your growth. Okay. So this chapter again underscores the importance of acknowledging and validating your pain. Acknowledging and validating your pain. Understand its origins. Going back to the root. I know a lot of us don't want to go back there. It's too painful. But in order for you to heal from that pain, from that trauma, you have got to go back to its origin and seeking the necessary support or resources for healing. Okay. So as we dive deep into the various wounds, like I was asking Coach Jeanine earlier, when you said trauma, there's so many. When you dive into the various wounds, physical, emotional, spiritual, and we have a lot of people that are dealing with church hurt. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of that goes on in the body of Christ, not only naturally, but spiritually. You will find that these pain is inflicted, and what's inflicted upon us, now we have to go and explore and go to the process for healing and finding peace. Okay. We talk about healing, facilitating your next through healing and growth. But now you have to find your inner peace. You'll be surprised. People are on the journey and still don't have peace. You'll be surprised. People are on the path, on the journey, and in the right spaces and have all the vernacular, they have all the answers, and still they're on that peace. Why? Because they have not let go of what is holding them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not letting go. So you have to find yet your peace. You have to be raw, truthful with yourself. confront past traumas and the scars and that you have left, or that even the old wounds. Someone said, I have so many scars. I have a t-shirt that wears it, the cuts, the scars, or whatever. Sharing your story of survival. You'll also have to examine what happened, and at the same time go back into timelines, into your intergenerational trauma, and also what came as a systematic oppression to literally take hold of your mind and take hold of your soul and take hold of your heart. What coming to shape? So pretty much you're taking all that you need to do and putting things in place by your investment of time to mold and shape who you are in a very holistic way. You're becoming a better version of yourself. And right in the midst of it, something will come to, again, not only snuff your voice, but pull and tug in your heart, bring in a sweet moment. And now you have bitterness, you're angry, and now having resentment. So we need to identify what's coming to take away from us or annihilate or take our power from us. Okay, so you have to be able not only to confront the stigma, confront the stigma and the shame surrounding mental illness, but you also have to advocate. You have to fight, you have to contend, advocate for greater awareness and support, learn more, take on your responsibility to learn more, know more about it. Why is this coming? Why did it come? You'll find that most of the most talented, gifted individuals, something happened to them. Either it was drugs, sexual molestation. Every powerful individual that is a born again and I say leader, a voice, an advocate in the world. When you read their story, something happened to them. And if you even go a little further, when a lot of these bona fide, and I'll use Nelson Mandela as one, something what you know the story very well. Not only did that happen to him and his background, but also his name was in Nelson Mandela. What came not only trying to take your voice away, it also trying to strip you of your name. It's trying to give you another identity. Your identity is called label. Your label, the label is called victim. It's called just to give you a label. Anything that was supposed to sniff him out, being locked up in Rikers Island, Rikers Island was supposed to tuck him away. He was supposed to die in prison. But if you go deeper into it, because he entered in not only in Christianity, what did they do from his childhood? They were stripping him from his tribal roots and giving him a name. So if you go back and read his bio, every scenario, everything that was coming, every obstacle was trying to take away from the essence of his being. So I'm asking, as you are maneuvering and becoming a better version of yourself and becoming a woman not only of color, but a woman leader, an advocate in your community, what was coming to take away your voice? What was coming or what came to sniff you up or take away your identity, trying to give you a label? What came in your past that literally tried to annihilate you and take the essence of it? A lot of you that's standing here today, that's not always your powerful stuff. When you look at it, you're not even supposed to be here.
Yes.
You're not supposed to be here. So confront. So the more you know, the more you gain support. The journey of healing involves embracing self-care, self-compassion, self-love, prioritizing mental health. I was telling my daughter yesterday, I was doing some work, and when it was something, my baby girl called me, and she was upset about something. But what came or the pressure that was so projected that came through that line, I just shut everything down. And she said, Mom, you don't do that. I said, but I felt her pain and I could no longer work. So I shut everything down and just be still and just meditate and just, had an ooham or one of those ooham moments. So what comes to frustrate you, take away yet your thinking, get you all off balance, where you can't concentrate? What is coming to upset yet causing you to eat emotionally? Now your blood pressure is up and your weight, you gain excess weight because you're off balance. You could very be, you got to work, you got to produce all of this to the point where you're not eating, you're not eating, you're not drinking water, you're sitting, all these hours, and your body is suffering for it. And your mental health is suffering for it because you're applying what is coming to apply pressure to you. Now you're applying pressure to yourself. So therefore, that speaks loudly of your self-help, your self-compassion, and therefore your self-love. So prioritize your mental health, seeking out therapy, support groups, and holistic healings methods to nurture your soul. There are a bunch of beautiful groups here on Facebook. I found me a couple the other day that was dealing with women and powerful women and growth, and the more I go into these groups, they were speaking about self-love and healing and a bigger balance or whatever. And I was like, okay, I found my tribe. So sometimes we have to come out of our comfort zone and go into these groups and introduce yourself and just be able to just be fed, just be able to just receive and watch people go and grow and bloom. You're not the only one going through these things, but watch them go and grow. And each one of these groups, there's people in there that's holding you accountable. If they're not holding you accountable for your business, they're holding you accountable for your craft. Hey, we're doing a challenge. Let's see what you're doing, what you got. Bring it. Let's support your business. Put your link in there. Let's support you. So what I'm trying to say is that there is no excuse. So there is a sisterhood. There is a bond. There is people that's pushing you. Hey, you just start a business, or you have put your books in here. Let's support each other today. What I'm saying is that you have to go out of your comfort zone, because we love to say there's nobody out there that thinks like this. There's nobody out there that's just, no, you got to be kidding me. There's people doing this. I don't see you out of your comfort zone. Come out of your comfort zone. Because I was thinking, okay, I have to expand my circle. And in doing so, and I'm telling you, Coach Tina, Coach Jeanine, that was one of the best things I've ever done. I'm like, beautiful. I'm just like, oh my gosh, the skill set, the gifting, the essence, and they're speaking and they're bonding and they're coming and they're asking, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? There is a people that's willing to help you right where you're at. Right where you're at. Not out to compete with you and be jealous of you. Everybody's not thinking like that. There are people out there that want you to get ahead.
Yes.
So getting past yet your comfort zone, getting past your place where you're stuck. Otherwise, you'll be moving, standing still. You'll be moving, standing still. Coach Jeanine? Coach Tina, do you have any questions or energy? Go ahead.
I just want to echo what you just said. Really find your tribe. If you don't have those type of queens around you, find a new tribe. Because this is what it looks like. Even in this example of, 21 days, like we just came in. Come on, Dr. Lovella, let's do it. Let's support one another. That's really what it's supposed to be. Like a tribe, really a circle of sisters and queens, because we understand that we need one another. So I definitely say, if you don't have that circle yet, please join us. We can be able to love on you and to really embrace you and really to honor you, to celebrate you. That's all it's about. Really being a servant leader. That is all about. So definitely, I can definitely talk more about that. But yes, this is the way. And you can be able to find other people. It's possible to find other people. Maybe you haven't in your journey, but it's still possible. Find a very healthy circle so you can be able to expand and support one another. Absolutely.
And I find that as Black women, we thinking that people are out to get us or out to steal our idea all the time. That's just not a Black thing, but we're big on that. Like, oh, they're going to steal my idea, or they're going to take this and run with it. People have to realize things you come up with, somebody else probably already came up with that. You just might take a different take on it.
Right.
So it's not really just your idea half the time, unless you an inventor or have a patent for it. So it's not actually yours. It's you just have to and find that tribe. Don't let your traumas. Don't let your all that stop you from getting your blessing. Because we're here to bless you. We are all supposed to be here blessing each other. We're better together.
Yes, we are.
Come on.
Yeah.
And you're talking the truth, and you'll hear that out of those that either been hurt or they've been wounded, or they'll say something happened to them, or the stuff. But and you made a perfect point. But the thing about it is, what the Creator gave me, He gave it to you. And then, even though our visions will be parallel and look the same, at the same time, based on your intelligence and the blueprint and your blueprint, how you will execute it and how I will execute it might be similar, but they altogether different. And it could very well be, though we had a brain dump and received the same vision, you're willing to go the extra mile, and I'm over here still trying to get confirmation. And then what's going to happen, just like you said, Coach Tina, because you did it the first thing, that's just what we do. Oh, she did it, and God gave it to me, and but in reality, He gave it to you. He entrusted you with it from the beginning of time, but you didn't move on it. You didn't move on it. He gave you the blueprint, but you didn't move. Your insecurities outweighed and out-talked you out of execution. And now that Coach Tina is moving forward with what God gave her, because she saw it, she got it, now she's running. Now I'm spewing, and I'm just, that's how it works. You know what I'm saying? Works. And now I'm spewing on your behalf, and now what I'm doing is, now speaking of your character and talking about, that's what they do, talk about you and make people think, oh my gosh, Coach Tina, but in reality, no, your insecurities cause you to, what we call it, you terminated it. Your insecurity terminated the assignment. You didn't move on it. Now you're seeing the fruition and how God bless you because you move with haste on it. Now you're upset. And that's what it does. But the root of it is, again, it's rooted in jealousy, envy, and then here comes competition. And now you're trying, you see what I'm saying? That's how it works. And her insecurities, if they would only be honest with themselves, it could very well be that they don't know that their insecurities or the doubt or fear cause them. What I'm trying to say is happening, but they might not have the words for it to realize it or pinpoint what's happening. It's happening like a cycle. It's happening like a cycle. It's happening like a cycle, to stop them, hinder them from building, from expanding, from growing. And we have a lot of gifted, Miles Monroe said it best, that we have a lot of dreams in the graves. We have a lot of gifts and skills in the grave because they won't execute it, because they won't move on it, And so we have to ask ourselves these questions. We have to evaluate, and we have to look at us again. Let's look at us from the standpoint of like, what's stopping me? What's hindering me? It'll most likely be doubt. It'll be fear. It'll be again.
Always ground.
Sabotage. Yeah. And it's because it was rooted from trauma.
Yeah. And my niece, she was talking about starting doing government contracting, and she was thinking that she didn't heard so much negative and so much trauma has stopped her in her tracks, thinking that she can't do this because of what hearsay or the trauma that she didn't had. I said, girl, go out and get your blessing. I said, because she was saying it's other people. She wanted to sell like products to certain people in the on the government contract. I said, you can do it. You're smart. You got the tools. Just go out there and get it, because it's enough for everybody. I promise you.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. Now, if she would hear your words, and even with that, where you were giving her wisdom, you were literally fueling her. So the thing about it, and with someone said, well, you stroked her ego, you fueled her, you encouraged her, you inspired her until she gets to her next stop. What is she going to do between what you instilled in her and now her taking initiation to pursue the government contract? So some people stop and wait for someone to stroke the ego. Maybe you can do it. You got this. For them to move, they need that push. They need that push. Some people honestly need that push until they keep going because there's fear and doubt. Okay, unbelief, I get it. But what happens, and you'll find a lot of people don't know how to inspire themselves, to motivate themselves, because they're so completely dependent upon people to push them. That's codependency.
That's right.
Codependency, because the power of an independency has been taken away from them. So then some of them don't think that they deserve it, again, because of what happened in their youth. They don't think that they're worthy of it. Why? Because of what happens in their youth. That stripped them away and made them think that I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy enough. And that too comes from one of the belief when it comes to monies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't deserve to get that because we broke. We're not supposed to have it. And based on the conception of what money is, and all it is an energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's an energy. It's a spirit. So I'm saying, so a lot of it. And the first thing to say, well, the root of it is, the root of money is all evil. So what on the journey you're going to visit some myths and stories that have been told to you from a child that you will now have to debunk, you'll have to confront, you'll have to cut it at the root, you'll have to cast that imagination down, those words, verbiage, you have to cast it down, because to present their truth, you have now gained, acknowledge your own personal truth. So you'll have to override. Here it is now. You have to decode, and now override. I'm about to go somewhere, but then override the system, override and decode and debunk. Now it's just, now you have to treat your mind like a brain, just like you're taking on knowledge. And now when it shuts down, you have to shut it down, reset it, and override the language. So you'll be able to maneuver or execute. And at that point, they need to know, change the system. Okay, change the system in which they're growing. So in order for you to grow, expand who you are, you're going to have to grow out of the box, grow out of the system in which you grew out of. You're going to have to grow out of it, evolve. Give yourself permission to evolve. A lot of you are still waiting for permission to grow, permission to execute, permission. Give yourself permission to evolve. Pass it on to you.
We need to give ourselves permission, yes, to be able to recognize it, be able to navigate our story, to be able to make sure that we definitely open up for healing the process, and definitely and to sit with it and making sure that we're reflecting and we are embracing the new circle, the new community, the new tribe, because we need one another to start a healing, because our community needs healing, families, everywhere, professionally, in the church, everywhere we need healing. So we're gonna stop very, very soon. But Coach Tina, any last words? And then we're gonna go to Dr. Lovella.
No, just make sure y'all confront your traumas and try to stay and seek help. I always tell people when they're going through something, seek help. Because if you can't handle it on your own, it's too hard to bear. Seek help.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad you said that, because some of the problem, thank you so much for saying that, because some of the problems that we're facing is ancient. It's older than you.
Yeah.
It's older than your parents. Why am I saying that? Because it has been passed on from generations to generation to generation. So what you have to do now is learn to bend, to adapt, to maneuver, to bend your mind, your thinking, adapt, know how to adapt around it, and take a stand. This and my daughter, she's one. Well, Mom, I have kids. I'm going to raise my kids all differently or whatever. And I'm like, okay. I understand you. Good for you. Good for you. And then because I'm just going to raise them. Not a problem. But I'm seeing her, because she's like, you were too strict. And I understand, based on your culture from the Caribbean, you were too strict. Okay. So now I'm hearing my granddaughter like, Mom, Grandma, please get your daughter, because she's too strict. She is. And I'm laughing because the very thing that she was talking about, hey, Mom didn't let me go anywhere. So now my granddaughter's calling me, Grandma, she don't let me go anywhere. I'm like, she does. And so I'm having this conversation. Well, baby girl, I didn't understand then, but I understand now. You just can't be anybody. I'm like, oh, okay. Not parenthood. So at that point, very good. And then it's so funny because you don't want them to, I'm raising my kids different, but Every time I look around, my grandbabies, they're with me. Can I just tell you, I'm like, but
They're going through the same thing.
But they're bringing back to the foundation.
Yeah.
So I just, Coach Jeanine, what I do is like, I leave it alone. Because I understand you're trying to do you, but you still bring them back to the foundation.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
but
okay.
keep living. Just keep living. You gonna see.
Okay, so I'm saying some of them. What I'm trying to say is that some things we don't understand until we go through it, or have or the experience of it. So some trauma, some things we're going through, we're not going to know how to fight and contend against it until we become parents, until we have kids our own, until we're in that situation. So in the meantime, that's what you say. You pray, you have wisdom, you mind bend, you ask questions, you explore, and you try to figure it out. Because a lot of these things that you're dealing with is, again, ancient problem. And how do I adapt? And then how do I maneuver? And even though you're doing all that's everything to not allow this ancient or this old narrative or whatever to enter into your, when I said, while you, the foundation of what you're doing, raising your kids, it's going to try to enter to the foundation of your children's children, because it's ancient. It's called cycle, So what do you do? So you have to keep closing the doors, keep praying, at the same time, keep relaying foundations, keep relaying, foundations. Be alert, be vigilant, be mindful. Again, because first thing to do is battle of the mind, so you can lose your mind. Dealing with the heart issues. Again, any kind of pain will cause you to be blind, so you don't see it for what it is. And truth be told, some people just can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You can't handle it. It's too much. Remember, truth has a weight to it. Truth has a weight to it. Lie has a weight to it, and truth have a weight to it. And with the truth now, you have to accept the narrative, the present day truth. And now, what do I do with this? I thought it was truth, but I've been holding on to this thing is a myth. I thought it was truth. And now you're realizing this was a myth. That was my narrative for all these years. I will never amount to nothing. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm too black. I'm too this. I'm too that. It was all a myth to disconnect you from who you are. So identify, acknowledge, and confront through moments of self-reflection, moments of self-care, self-compassion, taking the time to know, learn how the wiring are, then you will know, be able to set a new standard, if you will, while confronting. And somebody will discuss that tomorrow. How do you confront? How do you confront? It can very well be nasty, because you're telling someone that's now probably in their 50s or 60s, well, you do such and such. At that time, their memory's not that sharp. They'll be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And then now what you're doing is forcing them to go back in a timeline that they don't want to, they don't remember. It has also been suppressed so deep to the point where, so it's painful. It's painful. Yeah. So now I'll turn it over to you.
So much, Dr. Lovella. Yes, we cannot stop listening to you. You have so much wisdom and so much good nuggets for us. But we want people to purchase the book so they can be able to really grasp everything that you're saying right now. So please, if you haven't, we really encourage you to really go and purchase the book so you can be able to get really, the depth of what she's talking about tonight. Okay. I hope that you guys gonna do that and really follow her on her social media. Follow Coach Tina and myself, so we can be able to respond. If you have any question, any feedback, please respond. So, or leave in a comment so we can be able to address that. I hope everybody you doing well. You are enjoying this teaching, because it's a movement that we want you to join us. Tomorrow, please invite others or continue to share this live so many people can be able to listen to this. Merci beaucoup encore de se joindre à nous ce soir. C'était vraiment un plaisir. Aujourd'hui, nous avons parlé des blessures qui nous font mal, qui nous bloc pour avancer dans nos vies, mais en ce moment, nous apprenons aussi comment les surmonter, comment les vaincre. Donc, demain, nous allons continuer avec cela, avec Dr. Lovella. Donc, si vous n'avez pas encore acheté ce bouquin, n'hésitez pas, il faut acheter ce bouquin. C'est sur Amazon et puis contactez-moi, je vais vous donner le lien, ou bien Coach Tina, ou bien Dr. Lovella, en tout cas. Merci beaucoup et on se voit demain à 19h. Demain, ça sera le 7e jour. Thank you so much, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't have to miss anything that we have for you guys, okay? We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye-bye.